Oh, we're not live.
We not talking about AV?
I just started.
I'm not.
This
No.
already- This could be your B-side.
This is whole.
Yeah.
Okay, what I can tell
B-side.
you is, if that's where y'all going with this,
Okay,
you know how I feel about my personal shit.
Pause. We
I'm
got
not
it.
doing
We got
that.
it. No, you're good.
Right. In the. I hear you.
My life ain't content when it comes to
I
that.
understand, but in the macro, like if we ain't gotta personalize this to Key, if we can just put ourselves in the idea of there's a lot of songs that are named after a person. You know, you have the Renee and you have the Bob Felicia.
Roxanne
was one.
That was my jam.
I mean, you know, I'm trying to think like if I would give a fuck, but who knows? I mean, I guess people do.
Good. The next song I'm gonna do with Karee, and it's gonna be Marco.
You gotta remember, like, the only way a song can affect you is if you have like some type of emotional connection to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Marco,
Like,
if you drunk, yo.
But then,
you know, there are
Did you
songs that
smoke
you hear
drugs?
on the radio that it's like, okay, it's a
Hell
song, but
yeah.
you don't have any connection to it because you can't relate.
Did you do
So the
another
only way
line
that
in
that
the
song can
backup?
affect him is by making you feel some kind of way. Or any song for that matter. What makes you like a song? Is it just because the beat is trendy, or is it because you can connect to the lyrics? What makes you like a song?
My cousins was mad gas that their name was in. They was now mind you, they was when the EU drop doing the butt.
Oh shit!
19
I remember this
90?
when the spandex
Maybe.
was out.
89.
Good lord.
yeah, because it was in Do the Right Thing.
Oh, no,
I mean,
88.
School Days.
So 88 was when
88.
EU dropped that. So that made my cousins
I was
7
with-
and 5.
Because they named out all their names.
And both of them, Arkisha and Ornisha,
That's
are
right.
both in.
So they were super happy because they got to hear.
Anisha got a big old.
So what
Oh.
But hold on,
So
though.
what
What
if-
about
got a big butt.
Aisha?
I'm pretty sure every Aisha was lit.
Right.
Right,
What if,
every
what,
Aisha's
if,
lit.
what if your name is Becky? What if you're a white woman named Becky? Now,
You know, Becky's had it hard for a really long time because, you know, that Just Give Me That Becky came out and every Becky was known for.
what's the worst? What's
Hold
the
on,
worst name
hold
that
on,
you could
If
be
you're
named?
named Becky, your ass, and you white, you're gonna end up missing.
I would say Becky
Check
probably is the
CNN.
worst name to be.
How many white women go missing?
Marco, in our day,
Yeah.
what was the name? Or maybe Kareem might know. What was the name that you didn't want to have as your government name back in the days because it meant a different name? It meant something else.
Jimmy,
Jimmy's a good one.
Wendell,
Mr. Wendell.
Mr.
Yeah.
Wendell.
DJ Harlem. Did you know DJ Harlem, Kareem? No. Okay. From Hip Hop Highlights. His real name was Wendell, but, you know, rest in peace. But anyway, what was another name y'all had? The name was, in New York, it was Herb.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Because we used to
You
call
don't want to be
Herb.
look, and I got a friend named Herb.
Me too.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh Lord. But I mean, look, actually, that's Shay Stick Man. But you know, we all hung in the same circle from college.
Well,
Club.
peace, God. We got 3 minutes, so
Right,
we got to
right,
get on. Let's
right.
get on,
Right.
do an outro.
That's what I'm about to do.
Maybe everybody
So
can
look.
shout out to their families, in particular, if you got something to say to somebody in your family, and then we'll get up out of here.
All right, so check this out.
Word.
Going back into the line of the whole family thing, my dad, he didn't send me, he told me about this article from the Awake magazine, which is the magazine that the Jehovah's Witnesses put out. And it's an article, it's like a 12-series article about family. And, you know, it's talking about commitment, respect, all these things. So I read this article, and I actually took screenshots of things that I thought, you know, was good. And I would like to share some of them when we get an opportunity to do some of this, and you know, sort of get everybody's takes on what they think about some of the information. Now, mind you, a lot of the stuff that's in the article is not stuff that was applied in my household. And we had an interesting conversation on the call about if children grow up in an unhappy marriage, is that better or worse for the children? Because a lot of people have been saying that that unhappiness bleeds into the children. And the alternative is just because the parents split up doesn't mean that they're gonna be happy on that side of the other thing too. So what's better or worse? Because my family, my mother and father, never got along, never talked, slept in different rooms, never did any of those things together, barely touched each other, and they're still married to this day. They just never got divorced. Different generation. So
I think it's a double-edged sword. Like, I think, my parents' separation definitely made me more independent. I've been more not self-serving, but protective of myself. And, I grew and had to do things at an earlier age than a lot of people.
how old were you?
I moved back here. I divorced them when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
I moved back to Virginia and stayed with my grandparents, and then my mom came 2 years later, a few months later, a year or so. But either which way, yeah. So I think my imagination is stronger because I had to do, being an only child and then living with my grandparents, I had to entertain myself a lot and do for myself and take care of myself, which are great attributes. But at the same time, I've come to find in my adult life, I don't know what a real relationship looks like.
You don't know.
I
You
don't
haven't
know.
seen one.
I've never seen a true, up close and personal.
Right, not
I've
clear
never
and
seen
not Huxtables.
Yeah,
Right.
hey, boo, you know what I mean? Key's parents, from
Right.
what she describes to them.
Right.
I've never seen that once.
Key, what you think about?
And see, for me, it's like what you're saying. I feel like a negative thing for me is that I put so much weight on relationships. You know what I mean? And interactions with other people. Like, if we're in a relationship, it means so much. And it literally can crumble me because of what I've seen. You know what I mean? How I expect it to be. And so it's kind of like, when I think of my life, I always think about it with a partner. So I don't necessarily know if I've been equipped with the skill to necessarily
Be by yourself.
to be by myself because of what so it comes with its pros and cons, because it's like, I can't imagine life 20 years from now and being single, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but for me, it's like, well, that's not a part of the plan. And I don't even know if I know how to navigate life like that. You know what I mean? Because I have these things that I've seen as examples, and it's like, it's supposed to be this way.
But look, you're a strong, independent black woman, right? And you don't need no Negro. You know what I'm saying?
You're
to
right.
satisfy your life. Because
Correct.
what
But
you
what I'm
Like your
saying-
Hank Clinton girlfriend right
Your
now. We
Right.
came together, we leaving together.
Get your bag, girl. But no, what I'm saying is, I'm very aware that if it boils down to it, of course I'm gonna lace up my bootstraps and do what I gotta do. But what I'm saying is, the example from my life is having my parents together. They do things together. They love each other. Coming from a very well-rounded household, obviously that's what I want for myself as well. So it's like, that's part of the plan.
So let me ask you this: if you can recall, did your parents have brothers, sisters, aunt? They would be your aunts or other friends, church members that they knew as couples that was going through divorce, that was going through problems? Did you have anything in your circle that was close that showed, hey, this is what dysfunctional families look like?
Maybe. I mean, I guess nothing that I can recall like that. Like, I do know that my parents had couple friends, you know what I mean, that would come over.
They
and
seem just as happy as...
pretty much, but I was raised kind of like in that environment where it's like, when the adults are hanging out, in the dining room and they sipping wine and stuff, y'all go to the game
So they
room,
could
y'all
have,
go to
No,
y'all
that's
room.
they could have
right.
hidden
That's how I
them.
grew
They could
up.
have either hidden things, or it could have been them counseling their friends or whatever, but we're not going to be privy to that because we were children.
What was the?
Exactly.
Can you think
That's
of
how
what
I
was the
grew up.
worst? What was the worst? Because see, me in my environment, honestly, I can't even. Every single day, I saw domestic violence, disrespect. Every day, it was never a day that I did. This is the projects of Brooklyn in the '80s, not Brooklyn now. There was never a day that passed. There was almost never an hour that passed that you didn't see dysfunction. In my own house, and including everybody around me, you had to search far and wide to find what even looked like anything close to yours. So in your childhood, what was the closest thing you might have ever seen that looked like dysfunction? Can you recall anything? That wasn't on TV or wasn't in the movies? On the
I think
news?
maybe, like, now being an adult, if my mom was upset with my dad, I think, like, I noticed that she would have things, like, handed to her through my brother. So, like, because it'd be like, can you pass this? Can you pass that? She wouldn't address my dad.
You
And,
saw
you
that.
didn't realize
Right.
it at the time, but it's like, Mike, can you, pass this?
Right.
Or, Dylan, can you pass this? She would never address him. And I don't really think she looked in his direction at
Right,
the time.
right.
But it would never last more than a day either.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so I think that was the most. But then I feel like now as an adult, the dysfunction was that mask. You can't. It's hard for me to believe now as an adult that everything was 100% perfect. Nobody lives a perfect life. I think that they did a phenomenal job in raising us. Mm-hmm. I think they did a phenomenal job in showing us what love is, what compassion is, working through stuff. But the problem is, they didn't teach us how to work through problems. What do you do when there's a problem in your marriage? Because I'm not equipped with that skill.
I have a few ideas about this, but as far as this whole relationship thing, it always takes two people. So no matter how much you try to, think that, it's about me, it's gonna take another person that's gonna have to help you out with that. What I found is, I think that if you continually work on yourself, some of those things seem to fall into place. Now, if you allow yourself to be unevenly yoked in the first place, I say, think about this. Where were you at in your mind when you decided to start to be with this person? Were you in your highest state? Were you operating at a pristine state? And I think that's when you make your best decisions.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. I really do.
Go ahead, Marco. Let's hear this.
I just want some pussy.
So, if you were seeking happiness in your life, move to Utah. All black fathers do not go to church, and Marco just wants some pussy.
Oh my God! And you had to reiterate it for what?
Marco,
I'm just wrapping it up.
But no, hold on, because you know what? I grew up in a similar household as you did. You know what I'm saying? Everything looked like.
Right, and we're the byproducts of these households?
Right.
Yeah,
Alan, you wait till you meet Alan.
No.
Look, you know what I'm saying? I'm staying in freaking Maybach.
Go ahead, make the point. Go ahead.
Okay. But when my parents split up, that just spun my life off into
old?
something. 12 years old.
Right.
Yo, that's definitely a time frame.
Because my brother is 7 years older than me. My sister is 14 years older than me. So I never really grew up with them. You see what I'm saying?
Like a single.
Right? And then after my dad left, my life just spun off into what y'all know.
That makes sense.
Okay? But the point is, if my dad would have stayed, I would be a totally different person.
And
because what they instilled in me, as far as, because my mom was a teacher and dad is like, "Get your ass to school, boy." You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I still, even though I was doing what I was doing, I still brought home honor roll because that's what was expected of me. You see what I'm saying? Everything I was doing, I kept, and I only had to keep it from one person, my mother.
What do you think when you left?
But the point is, if my dad was there, I was so afraid of him. Or even if I was doing something wrong in the neighborhood and he heard about it, that's what kept me on track. But after he left, what else do I need to be afraid of?
I want to come back to this, Marco. We're going to do another family episode. We're going to wrap it up because I've heard you say this a few times.
Yeah.
And I want to dig in. And see, I'm doing this when light bulbs go off just to ask the question. I'm not telling anybody what they should think or feel, but when I listen to people talk about situations they go through, if an idea pops up, I just want to share it, just in case you might have never thought about it like that. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to make sure that we speak about your situation with your dad. In closing, everyone knows my sort of not great perception of my parents' religion. And
I can get into that.
Sure you can. In the spirit of balance, I've always said that the religion was not a total bad experience for me. Not at all. There are certain things that I might have to owe to this background and this upbringing that might not have existed had I not undergone it. So as much as I grumble about having to put on church socks and knock on the doors in the projects of Brooklyn and winter as a kid, there are good things about it, and I want to share with you one of them now in closing.
Okay.
As a child, we were entered into what was called the Theocratic Ministry School. What it was you would have to give spoken assignments in front of the Wednesday night congregation on a specific Bible topic. And you were given these assignments maybe 2 months in advance, and you had a 5-minute presentation. After your presentation, the overseer would publicly grade you on 2 or 3 speaking points. And the speaking points were from a list called Theocratic Ministry School Council Form. And when I read you these speaking points and tell you that this is what I had to work on as a child, I want you to listen to these speaking points and tell me if this has not affected me as an adult, as a writer, as an orator, as an MC. All right, here we go. They go from number 21 to 37. All right, here we go. 21, informative material, clear and understandable. 22, introduction rouse interest, introduction appropriate to theme. 22, introduction of proper length. 23, volume and pausing. 24, audience encouraged to use the Bible, scriptures properly introduced. 25, scriptures read with emphasis. Scripture application made clear. 26, repetition for emphasis, gestures. 27, subject theme emphasized, main points made to stand out. 28, audience contact, use of notes, use of outline. 29, fluency, conversational quality, pronunciation. 30, coherence through connectives, logical coherent development. 31, convincing argument, audience help to reason. 32, sense stress, modulation. 33, enthusiasm, warmth and feeling. 34, illustrations fit material, illustrations fit audience. 35, material adapted for field ministry. 36, conclusion appropriate, effective, conclusion of proper length, timing. 37, confidence and poise, and personal appearance. This is a hell of a school. And on the bottom, I just read the fine print. Like, this is from childhood, but I went back through my mom's old Bible books and I saw it and I scanned this and I printed it in my book. There's a copy of this in my book. It says, note, for each talk, the counselor will check the student on the next points in order on the speech council form, covering whatever is grouped together in a single study. Whenever there are adjustments made in that procedure, the counselor will note that in advance under remarks. The blank spaces on the form may be used for counseling students on points not listed, such as accuracy of statement, articulation, bearing, choice of words, grammar, mannerisms, relevancy, teaching techniques, and voice quality when the need arises. There's a long list of people in my book that are celebrities that all you guys know, rappers, actors, entertainers, that were raised by Jehovah's Witnesses. And I think that this is part of the reason. I think they on to something here. I don't think Norval and the private school and the college Marco went to could have done a better job than these guys.
Just let me say this. God isn't down with religion because religion separates us. And I'm done.
All right, Marco. Anybody else?
Drink Legends Brown Ale. Go hug somebody close to you.
No doubt.
Call your mom and tell her you love her.
Jeff has been under the weather, and I talk about the spiritual weather because he says he's having a few problems with
Life.
I'm
in my bag. I'll be fine. I'm just in my bag. Fuck all y'all.
All right. Key?
Look here. Love each other. Drink lots of water. Don't smoke crack. That's all I got.
Who's still smoking crack?
Are we having a back to school party for Key?
No, I'm too old for that.
But we are gonna write letters for Key to get accepted into medical school next year. I think my letter's gonna be the best.
Oh, Lord.
All right, we're gonna see whose letter makes the cut.
Oh, you want me to write a letter for you, Key?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, brother. In closing, thanks for listening again. Like, share, comment, subscribe in that order.
Bye, guys.
Marco, you want the last word?
I'm done.
We'll see y'all next time, y'all. Peace. It's the Street 16 Podcast.
Oh.
All right.
That was good. Felt good. Red chair, wifey's office.